Hello, chat. Hello, hello, hello. So actually today I had to make a lot of edits to my mic. I don't know what happened. Um, what I do know is that my microphone started acting as if I couldn't as if I couldn't speak. It was giving me a lot of errors about this thing or another. And I think I've got it working now. I think it sounds fine. My only problem is my captions. I don't know how to get working captions that can actually pick up my voice. I'm not sure what's wrong with the way I speak. But Twitch's captions, they aren't what they're cut out to be, you know? It's just a lot of in between words that aren't what I'm saying. And it's not really good at deciphering the difference between a filler word and a word combined with a filler word. I think it takes a lot of creative liberties with what I'm saying combined with what is actually on the screen. I mean, what I'm saying with combined with what it outputs, you know? That's something I need to work on. And I don't know if I just need to work on that like internally as a person who maybe speaks too fast or maybe doesn't speak clearly enough. Maybe I have an accent. I'm not too sure. Maybe Twitch just thinks I have an accent, though it doesn't pick up my words as well. And either way, welcome to today's stream. We have I think some ads playing for the start of stream. No big deal. We're just gonna get through them real quick and then we'll get right into the games. And by the games, I mean we will just be playing some Fields of Mistria for today. I don't know how long we're gonna be playing for. I'm gonna be honest. It's probably only gonna be maybe 2.5 hours. Really depends. But I'm looking forward to it. I hope you are as well. Alright, ads are about to begin playing. Bye, non-subbed people. And hello, VOD watchers and subbed people. So, really, all I've been doing today is messing with this mic setting. It's been really frustrating. Imagine my surprise an hour and a half ago when I open up OBS and do my little testing 1 2 3 exercise and find out that my mic is only picking up half of my volume. It was stuck in the negative 40 decibels, you know? It was stuck down there. It wasn't picking up anything I was saying. And so I thought that it was just a glitch, you know? Maybe it was a blippy glitch or whatever. So I restarted my computer and everything. It was still doing it, so maybe my mic was messed up? Question mark. Change the mic port, which means I had to change everything on OBS and Discord and just make sure everything was still connected to the right USB port. Regardless, we got here. After an hour of testing and then maybe like 30 minutes of me just walking away from the computer because I was a little upset at the way this thing was working. I think it's fine now. The only problem is I think I'll need to get a new mic soon. I've had this mic since 2021. This is my OG mic, if you will. The mic I've used. I don't know if I can pick it up and it won't make that much noise. You know what? I'll try. I'm gonna mute myself. It's just a little baby mic. It's a baby mic that sits on my desk and then I have to be very careful to not like slam my desk or get a little too riled up in my games, you know? So because of that, I don't know if it's because that it's not even that old. At this point it's 5 years old. It's a very cute, very small little chic mic. Exactly. You get it. Maybe it is time for an upgrade. This is like a $20 mic that I got on Amazon when I got my college return money. You know what you do with that money. You spend it on everything. Spend it on things you don't need to spend it on. Oh, opening my game. because the ad break is about to end, which means we can get into the gaming. To your parents? What for? Did they need it for like calls and stuff? What kind of mic do you use now? Do you use like a headset mic? Because I mean, you know, it's sometimes a gimmick for people to just use headset mics and get that kind of Xbox 360 audio quality, which is fine, I guess. But I don't know if that's what I want. I don't know if I want that quality, because I have to put some filters on this mic, or else my excitement sometimes bleeds through too much. I don't know what it is. Maybe I just need to work on, maybe I need voice training for what they took out in London. Oh, so they got their money back. Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense, actually. Use a studio Samsung mic. Oh, I think I just need to do more research. You know, all those. Oh, Reese wants to talk to us. Oh, we got a little heart event with him. That's something I need to work on. Just researching mics, because everyone uses those Shure mics for like podcasting and stuff. And I mean, unless I get a mic arm, you know, like something I can put onto the clamp onto the side of my desk and kind of shift over to me. I don't know if that's something I want though. That's an easy $200 investment I don't have at the moment. Maybe it'll be a birthday present for myself down the line. Sweet little baby capybara. Ooh. Why don't they have anything for me? A little sad. Alright, so today's goal, I had honestly spent some time looking at other fields of Mistria streamers, and guys, our farm does not compare. This is giving like a farm of somebody who plays other games and not these kind of cozy, fun management games. And you know, as true as that is, I would like to fix that. I would like to make my farm a little cute walking journey. I don't want it to be ugly. I'm tired of having an ugly farm. Look at this. There's so much grass everywhere. None of it makes any sense. It's not there for decorative purposes. It's just there to cause me harm. Right? So that's what today's goal is. I might not work on the farm aspect of it until summer, because at the moment, I mean, I have stuff growing. What am I supposed to do? This is how I grow my Stardew farms. You know, it's just rows of crops. No rhyme or reason to them. Just kind of giving them enough space to grow. And so I think it's time we grow up. Grow up and make some cute farm improvements. I'm not sure what that means for the trees. I'll have to look into that another time. But these seasonal trees, I might have to go. I might have to buy an extra tree every season this year, so that way I have a nice farm for next year in terms of orchards. I need to get more crops to grow. This is so sad looking. We made a massive field and put the trees all on the right near the pond. Over here. That makes sense. Out of the way. I think I just don't have the eye for this. You should see my Minecraft farms. They're just as bad, if not worse. I'll work on it. Okay. I need to do that. I need to work on that. So yeah, we'll buy some extra fruiting trees today, and then we'll also get a lot of crops. That way we can start hopefully making those plots of farmland. And that way I can push them more to where Caldarius is and all that stuff on this side. And make more animal tending closer to Hayden's place. Because I feel that that's just a natural progression in case I need to go grab something. We'll see. Artifacts will sometimes drop from breaking rocks. I don't think I'm that pressed for artifacts though, you know? An additional dig site will appear daily on the eastern road. Yeah, my small squares, they used to have a rhyme and reason to them, you know? Like this was like all the vegetation and fruits. And then over here I had my flowers. But I'm approaching a different method this year. This method just is not working for me anymore. I need order. I saw somebody have like this cool little, I guess, division. I don't know, it was like they made a building out of like walls and stuff. And they were all the same pattern of wall. And inside, they had a bunch of chests. And all their chests had like all their food and stuff. Oh, what is that? Oh. I already have that. Wait, I don't have that! Roly-polies! Holy moly. Okay. Yeah, I guess I need to make more adjustments to the storage deal I have going on here, because outside there's just 2 chests and my interior is getting a little rough. I made do with what I had, you know. I just kind of put everything in corners. I hope that there's more decorating stuff in that new update that I was talking about last week. Oh, coming out next week. Wait, next week? No, the 23rd. So I think we have 2 weeks. Let's see if we got any EQ requests today. Oh, carrot. Arrow. I need to buy more of them anyway. I don't have that many left. I should be fine. Remember collecting roly-polies as a kid? Dude, I remember I was going to like my cousins' houses and stuff, and like when there was cookouts or whatever, and we would just be in the back of the backyard in the corner picking up all the roly-polies from the leaves. And I remember them starting to like roll them into each other a la Bakugan style. No, not Bakugan. Beyblade style. And I was so uncomfortable, but also intrigued because I was like, what, 4 to like 7 years old? I really don't remember when it was. But it was so interesting. I was like, what's happening? Do these bugs like this? Is this cool? Is this cool for them? Roly-polies they're funny. They're funny little guys. I haven't seen one in a while, actually. Maybe because it's barely gonna be spring. I mean, it's been hot the past few days here, so maybe they'll come out of the hiding. And I'm trying to keep my house put together. Last stream, that's what I spent the last like 30 minutes doing, just moving everything. Yeah, looking back, you know now, like those guys did not want to be thrown around like that. They were hiding. But that is just the trial of a child. To be learning these things and accept them. How's the Saturday market holding up? It is. I'll need to start costing out some fresh pennants for next year. The year barely started. What are you talking about? I used to hate doing inventory, but now I think of it as a gift for tomorrow's Reina. True. Man. To drown and okay, see that's a step too far, low-key. I was too scared of anthills to do anything crazy to them. But yeah, you're right. We all when it comes down to it, a child sees a bunch of smaller creatures in it and decides I'm their ruler and I'm the one that's gonna do this to them. I'm gonna end their lives. But I don't really think much about it, and I'm gonna go inside and have a grilled cheese or whatever. Then you think about it later. I might need to replace my hammer soon. A worn hammer's no good. Alright. So real, so real. We're dropping facts and hard-hitting truths on this Tuesday. Oh wait, Wednesday afternoon. Oh my god. That's real. I think that's when you start realizing that that actions have consequences, and the consequences are very real and very much affect your inner circle and stuff like that. I think that that's when that happens. I want different seasons of these sofas. I feel like that's what, I guess, what is that age? I guess from 12 to 15 is kind of when you, I guess, wake up the second consciousness, because you know you have memories of before then, whatever, you don't really remember why you did those things. But I think once you're hitting those ages, you kind of, your brain shifts. It's like, wait a second. I was thinking, see, I don't know if they will. That's the thing, Max. I don't know if they will. The ants might not be able to forgive you because they might be an ant hell. And you don't know that. You won't know that until you get there yourself. Not to hell. I think. Do I have to make anything? I'm just going through this thing. What else do we have to do? And alright. The ants will forgive you. Oh, dude, I need so much more material. I might change my mystical pony button. Z works out. I can kind of shift my finger down and click it, but to take it off, it's kind of a pain. Easy to equip, not so easy to unequip. Oh, see, that's, I think therein your problem lies. The fact that you still have this hatred for those ants. In your heart, you have to search for yourself for forgiveness, and only then can those ants and yourself reach nirvana. Do this and you become reborn as a lotus flower. Much better. It's so easy to look out this cliff without those pesky trees in the way. So I'm going to assume that once I finish the inn's upgrade, maybe we get to this point where we can upgrade these stairs. These confounded stairs that have taunted me since day one in Mistria. I will climb those stairs. Oh, I need peat anyway. Is my inventory really full? Oh. Okay. Well, I guess it is. If there's one thing I'm really looking forward to in the new update, it's the Lost and Found feature. That way I don't have to come all the way out here just to pick up these things that I left behind. Although I think I will miss that aspect of the game. It was kind of fun to like walk around and come back after 2 weeks or maybe a week doing whatever else I'm doing and realize that I missed all these things. Alright, what did my horse do? The appearance of large animals can now be unlocked at 5 hearts to ride them? Wait. Does that mean I can ride my, like, cows and stuff? Wait, I don't think that's that important. When your Mistria runs over a forage spot or a fully grown crop, it will pop from the ground. Nah, I'm not that horse dependent yet. It's getting late. Alright, so real quick, I'm gonna drop this roly-poly. Oh, spoilers. Are you on year 1 still? Oh, that was my last spring insect. Oh, sweet. Haven't been there. And I think that there's a legendary insect per season I haven't started to look for. It's something I can't commit to memory, you know? I'm not gonna really think about it past every time I come to the museum, you know? I'm gonna walk out and forget about this guy. Okay, we need to go to the pond to fish. Oh. And what should I leave here? Oh, that's cute! Look at that! The caterpillar chair. Wait, I need this. Oh, I'm so sorry I spoiled the game. I'm so sorry. I hope you find it in your heart to forgive me. Don't look. Don't look, don't look. What you guys up to? Here's a list of projects we're starting the new year with. My old friends, nails. I'll get started right away. I wonder, I mean, March does a lot of complaining. I won't argue about that, but at some point you kind of gotta empathize with the guy. he's a quote-unquote talented blacksmith, and he's got him making nails all day, every day. Now I know Celine says that the little sprout doesn't grow off of puns. Whenever I'm over, I'm sure to whisper a few to it. Who knows, could be just the thicket. Oh, you know, while I'm here, I'll just drop off these few little meager supplies. Great, now what you doing? Mabel and Luke were so cute this morning. Such a lucky big sister. Shout out all the big sisters. Let me put my couch in here. I'll put my caterpillar couch away, and then we're going straight into planting all the rest of the stuff. How cute! Get out the way, kitty cat. Back to planting more potatoes. And maybe I'll just plant turnips. Oh, W big sisters except yours? You know, I don't know your big sister, so I agree. Oh. I need more flowers. Sweet. Oh. Oh, let's get you guys back inside for the end of the day. Good night, my little guys. Oh, look at him! He sleeps like a little hamster. Oh, yeah, she thinks she's cooler than you. Well, she might be. Who knows? What if she's got like a red motorcycle I mean, I'm over here making fan fiction about your sister, but who knows? Well, nothing. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it at all. Where do I have these strawberries? Do I really don't have any kept? The hell? What the hell? Oh, I do. Wait, you guys are coming inside. Okay, I'll take it back. I take it back. Take it back. Calm down. It's all good. Ding. I think any of this is for cooking. I'll take this stuff inside though. I am home. You better head home. Sure, man. The organization of things never ends. You just have way too many things. Oh, I remember. I'll remember what you did to those ants. Slow walk to sleep. Alright, we didn't get much done today, I'm gonna be honest. Not exactly how I was spending my first day. I got ants everywhere. No! We'll get there. We'll get to the farm of our dreams. Oh, it's Ulrich's birthday! Ow. The only thing I know that he really likes is a piece of rock. I don't know what else he likes. Oh, a diamond. Not giving him a diamond. I don't know who he thinks he is. Ooh, our peas are ready. Oh, I forgot that I got that upgrade where I get food based off the thing I cultivate. I what the hell out of that, but hooray, we got fried rice. I love a good fried rice. Especially when a shrimp fries it. I think it's a little bit too forward of a gift for her birthday. You know, happy birthday, I got you a diamond. Well, he's gonna say, do you want me? What do you want with me? I granted we can't romance him, but you know. It just seems too much. We're gonna go back to cleaning up this area today. We're not even leaving. Good morning. For instance, we're gonna have to get a new barn soon. These guys, they're about to crowd up the whole place. Wait, you're fully grown! You're a giant capybara now. And you're gonna give me some capybara feathers or whiskers or whatever it is. What is it that she wants? The bristles. We'll get there. Hopefully in the next day or two. Look at how nasty this was behind the tree. I'm so sorry to my chickens that were living like this. This. We're cleaning this. We're doing this. Making this happen. Maybe we'll find something nice to give Ulrich within the rock. I doubt it, but, you know, miracles can happen. Miracles can happen. I also don't want these trees to be growing around here anymore. I want a good entryway into the exit. That's something I'll work on. I'll make it an archway. Some kind of nice welcome to my farm sign. Whatever comes first, you know? I will say, the one thing this game succeeds in a lot is making me want to play, Minish Cap. Minish Cap or Four Swords. I never played them. I did play Minish Cap for like a good 10 minutes when I downloaded an emulator on my phone. But that was back in high school. And I don't know if that emulator is still around for a phone. And two, I'd want to play it on stream. Ow. You know? It's such a cute looking game. It is. And that's why. It's just the similarities in the color schemes, I think, that make me want to play it. What? We're gonna have to use our spell today. There's no other way around it. This stamina is gonna go down. It's already gone. It's not even 2 p.m. Oh, whoa! Dude, my game just crashed. What? You're joking! What the hell? What do you mean the game just crashed? Okay. That's so fucked up. The hell? Did they have a new update or something? Now why my game? What? Oh, okay. That's kind of annoying. It's only been 30 minutes. What do you mean game's already... If this game crashes again, I'll keep playing, but... I will be very unhappy. What the hell? I was getting too lucky with my food. Oh, wait. Actually, today we got luckier. We got another vegetable recipe. I'm actually excited. Okay, wait. Today's already better than yesterday. When life gives you lemons, harvest your peas one more time. See if you get some new recipes. You need to get on my computer ASAP. I can't have you running around in here. Oh. So clearly, I'm not safe in my own little virtual world anymore. I get it. I guess the only downside is I didn't get any more vegetation stuff. I just got this instead. On the plus side now, I do know that you do get at least 2 for the size of farm that I have. Maybe that's a good thing. Alright, let's pretend that we're seeing our capybara grow for the first time today again. Little ducky. Oh. Look at him, he's huge! Game making me replay. They're so cute. So freaking cute. Good morning, little guys. Alright, back to it, I guess. Oh my gosh. Here's part 2. Maybe that was a warning that I was landscaping wrong, you know? I'm going to ignore that it was a warning that you're going to take revenge on me, Max, and I'm gonna pretend that it was actually the game telling me I was just deforesting my farm wrong. Already looks really bad without trees. I need to make more fences. Maybe I don't need fences. Why would I make fences? I feel like that's a waste of resources that I don't have at the moment. That could be a long-term project. For now we're working on structures and I guess the inlet grade that Reina so thoughtfully put together for us. Guys, you don't step on these rocks and get rocks in your hooves. That'd be so sad. We can't forget, also, this Saturday we have to go give Vera the fiddle horn that we thought we didn't have, but turned out we did have, because she's requesting one. There's so much stuff over here. Thank you. You will serve as my reminder. If not, if I go to sleep on Saturday and I don't get that quest done, there will be hell to pay in Mistria. And I will enact my revenge on everybody, one at a time. Oh, see, we're already tired. Okay, we got back. We're back. Back like we never left. Yeah, they will. Except they won't, because they'll all be gone before they can find a name that they settle on. You see how indecisive these people are. They won't know whether to call me the Butcher of Mistria, the hash-slinging slasher of Mistria, the Pasta the Ripper of Mistria. They won't know. They'll all be gone before they can get to that name. Alright, this is some good progress. I left some trees because I don't want it to look that ugly. I feel like without trees, everything looks ugly. Perfect. So let's go give... We'll give Ulrich his little birthday gift. I think I'll also take stuff for the upgrade. Yeah. Is there a problem with the hash-slinging slasher? Well, I'll also give this out too. Oh, this is so sad. My drawers are empty. Whatever. Let's talk to Caldarius. Caldaris. I feel bad that I haven't talked to him. I need to talk to him every single day. We're still only like at 1 heart, I think. Oh, you think it's an inoffensive name? Okay, alright. Well, we'll see who has the last laugh in Mistria, me or them. We'll see. Oh, a cabbage! I have cabbage! I'll get Holt as cabbage, and then we'll see Ulrich. I guess my cabbage is inside. cabbage for you. And I'll put these inside actually. I don't need them. Not too much food. I think so. Alright, let's go see what else they need over there. Not that we're anywhere close to finishing the inn upgrade, because I think we need 5,000 tesserae. I'm only at, I mean, I would like some cushion. Oh, okay, we got the peat done. Wait, we're almost done with the stone. This is good. And the glass. I think one more good day in the mines will get us through the stone and the glass. These two will be the problem. And the money, I guess. One day at a time. Where you at, Holt? Wait! Holt! Here's your cabbage. Everyone likes raw cabbage, right? Thanks, Rotini. I feel like he was trying to make a pun about the cabbage. Wait, he's talking about me. Little grocery tip, if you're buying cabbages, 2 heads are better than one. Well. Alright. Uncle Linda put bread on this grocery list like 3 times. Runs in the family, I guess. Cabbage and soup. That was crazy. When's the last time I had cabbage? Oh, when I had chili. Oh, I had chili. Oh, not chili. Oh my gosh. I had Thai food. That was good. It was pad pak, and I had some yummy pieces of cabbage in there. Oh, it's your birthday. It's your birthday. Do I have something for you? Here. Oh, here. You guys got the way real quick. Oh yeah, sorry. I was thinking about chili earlier today. Wait, calm down, calm down. Ta-da! A birthday present! It's so party time. You're welcome. Happy birthday, Ulrich. Delicious. Have anything for Reina? Give me a second, I'll get you something. Ooh, I also want to make these for my animals. For this feed. I'll do 4. It'll take me 2 hours to make this? Oh my gosh. Where's Rotini? Oh, you know, they're over there in the mill. They spend 3 hours in the mill every day. How many eggs? Okay, I'll make some mayonnaise. I feel that that'll be a good gift, and I think I can use it to make sandwiches. Hooray! Since Reina loves ingredients. Especially my cool, awesome stuff for my farm. Oh, didn't like that one. You just said thanks. Maybe I've underestimated the importance of my farm spoils. I don't know. Maybe I misread the situation. Hide and seek is a little different when Maple's hiding. She doesn't really hide. She just commands us not to look at her. I see you looking, Rotini. Oh, I bet. He wants me to sit. If only I could sit down, that'd be so. I didn't mean to spill water on you. I'm so sorry. I gotta go. I gotta go. That was embarrassing. That was embarrassing. He said, sit down with me. We'll have a chat. And then I pour water on him. Real smooth, Rotini. Real smooth. Arithia. Oh, you reminded me. She's the fishing lady, so she reminds me I have to go to the pond. Fish. The water calls to me, like it calls to a trout on a crisp spring day. I also need more wood. I guess we'll do a little more. Oh, you do? You think I got a chance? We'll see. I'm hoping I can make up my mind on the romance aspect of this game before 4.0. Oh, what the hell is this? Yeah. Right. No more distractions. We are here at the pond. We better get at least one new pond fish. I think I can make it home. As long as I cast my line and get this fish before 1:10. And what I say? Oh, it's a turtle. Dang it. Alright, we'll go home. Nobody needs that. Nobody needs... Turtles are so year one. Oh shoot, my animals! Guys, I'm so sorry. I hope I have enough time. Call inside. Please, 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 please. They're gonna be so mad at me. If I don't make it inside, that's okay. At least my animals are indoors and I can get some more animal products tomorrow. Oh my gosh. Dude, how did I forget? That's why I had to get them inside ASAP at the cost of my own life, you know? I lay my life down for my capybara. Even if it means I oversleep. That's fine, I guess. That's fine. You know what I just realized? I think all of my animals have already eaten now that it's already 10:30. Oh, 11. Too late to give them the food that I made yesterday. Okay, well, can I walk right in front of this? That'd be so nice. Okay. Something needs to be done about the way that you face whenever you do these things. I can't handle having to keep turning around every single time I want to water my plants. Just not fair. So how are you guys doing in here? Do you guys, how's it going? Oh, there's so much more space for these guys to immediately walk around. Oh, I'm actually really happy we knocked down that tree. Capybara bristles? Not yet. Not yet. I wish I could grab these. I want them there. I want these there. That's fine, that's fine. We'll let these guys do their thing. Aw. Part of me wants to go to the mines. It's already 1 though. That's probably not a good idea. How many carrots do I have? I could just go tomorrow. Oh, I have enough. Okay, great. Who wanted them? Was it juniper? Carrot, carrot, carrot. That's 3 of them. Catfish. Oh, it wasn't Vera, it was Mary who wants Fiddlehead. Now I need to find this guy's pickaxe. Kind of annoying. Alright. to it. Put this peat away, I don't need it anymore. I'll hold on to the stone, because for sure we're gonna need that. I have to sell the rest of this stuff. Like the oyster, the paddlefish. Especially that turtle. Alright. Let's go turn in our carrots. Then I'll spend a good 5 minutes searching for Ulrich's pickaxe. I don't know if that's something that I've already missed out on, quote unquote, because I don't really remember at what point of the adventure he gave me that quest. Like the adventure down the mines. So we'll turn. Where's Juniper? Hey guys. So I don't know if Ulrich's pickaxe is in like in floor 15 or 10. Something that I'm just gonna have to check out. Hey here. Juniper, hello. Where are you? Okay. Not here. Oh, she's up there with Balor. What are you guys talking about up here? Hey! Economic opportunity. No, my economy. The economy. What are you guys talking about? Wait, move over. I want to talk to them too. Here's the carrots that you needed. You've done well. Juju will be so surprised. You're welcome. I can only talk to them like behind Balor's back. I have to push him over and talk to them because he's covering these beautiful women. My favorite topic, economy. Economies of the villages nearby. Is that even the question? Upper Mines mushroom. Okay. I can do that. No big deal, no big deal. One last look at a pond before I go into the mine. And when I say I'm only going to be at the mines for a little bit, I'm only going to be there until 7. Snakehead. And another goddamn turtle. Yeah, I'll leave him on the floor. I don't need him. I want that turtle. Bring him out of the water and let him suffocate. So there's no more turtles in these ponds. I'm sick of it. If I was Ulrich's pickaxe, where would I be? You know? Poor turtle, poor me! These guys keep coming to me. Like, it's, I don't know what you want me to do. If being an enemy can break a nearby rock. Anyway, I'm not close to any of these. Quick-footed, blue sapling pools will grant a short speed boost. Ooh, monsters will drop twice as many items when defeated. Hooray! Did I bring everything? I brought way too many things for the mines. I didn't even bring any food. We'll see what we get. Oh, that was my bad. Oh my god. Wait, maybe he tells us where he left it, where he left his pickaxe. When the earthquake hit, we lost a lot of gear in the mines. They found my pickaxe, but Errol never found his. Maybe it's up here. I don't think they ever went into the mines, you know what I'm saying? Maybe hidden all this stuff. Oh my gosh. Hello, kitty cat? Oh, she wants to play. Hang on. Hang on, hang on. I'll throw the toy in a second. Give me a second. Give me a second. A little cat. Just so y'all know, this will spawn a... Whoever knows how long it'll be for bringing the toy back. Me running after her. And yes, I am aware that it is 7:30 and I said I was only going to look for it. Oh. Well, I guess I could stop now that I have no stamina. I kind of think that this this pickaxe situation is kind of like the mare shorts in Stardew, where they're in a specific location that reveal story things. Oh my gosh, this is my eyeball. Help! At least I can drop off the rest of this this glass for that upgrade. And while I'm here, I'm going to also make, I guess, an iron ring. Oh, she's back. She's so quiet. It makes me feel so bad. I look over and she's just here sitting here with a little spring, waiting for me to throw it. Oh, sorry. All right. And now we've got crazy defense. I think I'm gonna quickly also craft some stuff for some money before I go home. Because I have so much fiber. Oh, and this too. I don't even need this. Well, I only make one more gold bag, so that's it. 35 plus 30 is 65 plus, okay, so plus 10 is 75 plus 50. 75 plus 50 is 125. You make a profit of 10 gold. I guess crafting is just not the way to go. I'm still doing it. I'm gonna make 2 of these. You got a serious question for me? Alright. I'm ready for the serious question. I've got my serious face on. Do I actually like yes, I love it! Okay, it honestly started off as a bit because I was obsessed with that one episode of Super Mario Brothers show where in order to escape the Koopa jail, Mario and Luigi do a little panky thing and they say pasta power and they escape from the jail. And I thought that was really cool and I liked that phrase, so I adopted it. But then I thought about it more and I've always really liked pasta dishes in my day-to-day. You know, like, I like all types of pasta. Even if it's not made out of flour. I like chickpea pasta. I like... What else do they make them with? Garbanzo beans. It's good. I like pasta. Oh, I have no stem. One of my favorite things, one of my favorite carbs. And it pains me. Garbanzo beans, or whatever it is. There's that red one too. Or maybe it's like a red lentil pasta, I think. Like they use red lentils and blend them up. Those are good too. And I like them all in all shapes and sizes. They can be spaghetti, linguine, fettuccine, rotini, orzo, inside the little cool spirals, elbow. I'm an aficionado. Have I ever tried to make my own pasta though? That is a good question that I know is like in the back of your mind. No. Also, ads are about to start playing in the next like minute. So be prepared. Oh, I didn't drop the glass off. Dang it. You think I have time? I have time. We're gonna go do that real quick before I forget for the next day. Because right now when ads are playing, I'm gonna go get some more water and I guess I'll take a second break or whatever. Okay, so we're done with the glass. We just need a bunch more of the stone, wood, and silver. Hooray, I don't have to worry about that anymore. I don't know how hard it is. I mean, I don't know if you actually do need those kind of tools. I don't know if you've seen those videos where they make the pasta and like they're pulling the dough through these shaped contraptions to be able to make those shapes. I don't have those tools. They're cool, don't get me wrong. I like seeing them in action. Thank you, Pasta Baron. I hope you take pity and lower my taxes, Pasta Baron. So that the overlords may continue to enjoy this this land. Hooray! I passed! I'm not getting canceled this week. This is very pleasing to hear. Also, I think ads are playing. So we're just gonna keep trucking along. I don't need water that bad. I have a little bit left in here. Oh, it's Friday! You know we gotta get down on Friday. Oh. Okay, yeah, ads are in progress. Okay! Alright. We got an ad break playing. I'll be right back then. Oh. I'll be back. Put it right there. Hooray! Oh, that's not really a good spot. We'll put it right there. Hooray! Alright, we're back. Hooray! I think there's about like 20 seconds left in ads. So, you won't miss much, ad watchers. Join me for a meal! Wait, what? Everyone, look, my past 4 pieces of mail have all been propositions. I just keep getting proposition after proposition to hang out, maybe spend a little time, one-on-one time with people. My business is booming and it's all thanks to you. Join me for a meal at the inn? Let's celebrate our success and toast to a bright future. Oh, wait! We were talking about lemonade and lemons earlier. Because for when life gives you lemons, you go have dinner with Balor and make lemonade. Okay. Excited. We have much to do today. I think we're gonna go back to the mines and add— oh! We got the bristle! I don't know how much I need for juniper. I didn't double check. Where is it? Hello? Oh, she needs 3. Alright, we'll keep that here then for now. We'll keep that there. I want to put this wheelbarrow out. Just for fun. There you go, I can hang out over there. We'll get these guys outside. And then I'm gonna go grab whatever they made. We're going to take care of our garden. And I think today we'll go mining again. I think we just need a lot more stone in order to get into a position where we can decorate. So right now I don't have the materials, I think. I think I'm missing a lot of the basic stuff. So if we're gonna decorate the farm first and foremost, we must— oh, I didn't know it cycled through everything and went back to the basic. As if I would need to do that. So we're gonna go to the mines. And from there, see what happens. I really don't like the idea that the— oh, is this music too loud? I don't think so, right? Oh, my game music might be too loud. I think we're okay. I think I, as usual, am overthinking it. You know, whatever you say, whatever you say. At the end of the day, it's night, and at the end of the night, the ad? You hear that? The ad still play. What do you want, kitty? Okay, she just ran away. Leave a toy? Leave anything. She just came over here to yell at me. I am a bully. I am bullied in my own home. I'm gonna take hard-boiled eggs. I think this grape juice might be the best option. It's better than the boiled eggs. Doubly so. I'll take the grilled corn. No, you know what? No grilled corn, we'll take bread. Nope. The ad betrayal, on the other hand, will continue hour per hour. I can assure you, though, you're not missing much. I do try to take a break. Or, like, at least not make too crazy of a progress in between. Because I'm friendly. Where is the fiber? Here. Me in the grocery store. Where is the fiber? It's so interesting. last year I think everybody was very obsessed with protein. You gotta have more protein. You don't have enough protein in your diet. And this year, I think because everybody spent the last year eating way too much protein, it's gotten to the point where it's hey, by the way, you need fiber to finish what the protein does to you. And so a lot of what I'm seeing now is people focused on fibrous words. Oh my goodness. The dramatics of it all. The dramatics of it all. At least you're not getting 4 minutes of ads every 20 minutes. You know, I could be worse. The protein epidemic. Yes, exactly. It could have. Even my precious pasta has been plagued with this epidemic. On the shelves now, I see this pasta has 19 grams of protein, and I don't think pasta should have that many grams of protein. I don't think it should. I just, you know, is that wrong of me to say? If I think pasta should just be a carb that maybe provides a little bit of the necessary fats in a normal human diet. Because after all, like, shouldn't you be supplying the protein in a different way? Yeah, exactly. Yogurt. I mean, yogurt already had protein, but I think Chobani has come out with a new formula for more protein. And same thing with, like, just random foods. Candy, chips, those Quest chips. Oh, we have protein in our chips now. Where is that coming from? I don't think that's natural. If my corn tortilla chips have protein, I'm a little concerned. Because that should be a corn chip. That shouldn't be a protein chip. I don't know what's happening here. Dude, yeah, you're gonna be a Spartan. Exactly. I don't know if I want to be a Spartan. Dude, I miss Halo. I saw you playing the, like, I was watching that stream when you were playing with Shaw. One that, I mean, I don't play that kind of Halo. That's not the Halo I play. I play for funsies. I don't play this kind of, we have to memorize where the spawns are and the monsters. It was so sad. I started watching, what, like at 1 p.m.? It was 10 p.m. and you guys were still playing. I was so sad for y'all. Truly, that would have taken everything out of me for weeks. Oh, wait, what the hell? Why did I get protected? Do you? No, I don't play. I watch people play. You know what? People say I know my way around a Spartan sword. Wait. I haven't played in a while, actually. In general, shooters I haven't played too much of. Calm down. In general, no, I haven't. Oh. I haven't played Halo too much. It's a game that well, the franchise I still hold pretty dear to me. I really only ever played like Halo 3 and 3 ODST. And then some of, like, I played Halo Reach too. And I have the Master Chief Collection on Steam. But it's just, everything's so different now, you know? It's so much easier when you're playing on an Xbox 360 by yourself or with your younger sibling, you know? Oh. Oh, come upstairs. Dude. These things are impossible to kill if you don't get the freaking rocks. But I think I would like to play it again. It's fun. It's a fun game. It's a really interesting franchise. Whatever. And with my new gained knowledge in shooter games, now that I've played other ones in my lifetime, Halo was my first shooter game ever, I think. I never played Call of Duty. I never played CSGO. It was just me and Halo. I think I can be beast mode, you know? What? Is that not a sufficient answer for the Halo gods? The Halo gods who spend 8 hours on a level? Oh, dude, you know what? I need to go back to the surface. Sorry, I was trying to think of the other names, but I really couldn't think of any other weapon names. What else is there? The needle one, the regular AK, regular sniper. I forgot the names. It's been a while. When I say it's been a while, it's been a while. Ooh, ooh, a very disco sword, like Daft Punk. You know, I can do a speedrun if it's ODST. ODST. We can do that. I'm down to do that. We'll set it up. Wait, guys, we got to a new level. A 4-man? Oh, that'd be fun. I've never played with more than just like my little sister. So, it'd be fun. Oh, hang on. Woman talking to me. Dragon's power. Restore. Okay. Oh, we're back at the level where we have to like get stuff in order to like progress. Ah, another fetch quest. What is this game if not fetch quests? Okay, we gotta go talk to Juniper, which is fine because now we can leave. This is some good progress, So, because I don't have anyone else for a 4-man, I think it's up to you to kind of help the team come together. And I think it's also up to me to kind of learn how to play with more than one person. Oh shoot, oh. You know, I thought I was gonna come in and everyone was gonna be here and we were gonna get our little, like, Friday night at the tavern kind of thing, but I forgot Balor wanted to meet me here. So, let's see what he wants. I don't like that he's standing in the middle of all these tables so ominously. What do you want? Oh, oh my god. Bring us whatever the most expensive drink on the menu is. Balor. Seems like you're in a rare mood, Balor. Why shouldn't I be? Profits are up and the town's businesses are blooming. I couldn't be happier. Right. Well, I'm not really dressed for a dinner date with Balor right now. Here's you two, have the rest of the bottle on the house! Just give me a yell when you're ready to order. Here's Louise. 2 rotini and Mistria. Okay. 2 Mistria to raising my cut of the profits. Because I think that's the way to Balor's heart. Not really, like, if I'm trying to get to Balor's heart, but, you know, talking about money, I think that's good for him. He thinks it's funny. If business keeps up like this, cheers. Oh my gosh, who's this? Is this the guy from the Saturday market? Oh, wait, I don't know who this is. Well, doesn't this look cozy? Mind if I join? Weedle. Yes, actually. Splendid. Oh. Oh, we got a little bit of rivalry going on. To what do we owe the unexpected pleasure of your company? Why, I thought you'd never ask. I represent a consortium of merchants who have taken an interest in your work in Mistria, Valor. We're all very impressed. You've certainly made lemonade out of lemons. Title of the quest: Lemonade out of lemons. Get to the point. This paperwork transfers your Mistrian contacts over to my business partners, and you walk away with... Well, to call it a tidy sum doesn't do it justice, does it? Do the contracts with the Mistrian businesses stay the same? Wait, am I getting cut out of this? What's my cut? And why would you need such a thing? Because I'm the one providing everything. Hello? How dramatic. And the day that Balor chooses to celebrate his new profits and his new heights, a rival comes in and tries to swoop him away from me. Well, I won't overstay this warm welcome. Think about it, Balor. It's everything you ever wanted, isn't it? Dude, he's gonna leave us. Oh. He took our bottle! How fucked up. Oh my god. That was unexpected. Can I have a rain check on the meal routine? I've got a lot to think about. Dude, what do you mean you have a lot to think about? You hate me now? This is like the stereotypical movie thing where the guy comes from a shady past and the shady past comes back to haunt him near the climax of the movie, and what happens? We drift apart for like 30 minutes in the movie. Maybe not even 30 minutes in the movie. We drift apart for like 10 minutes in the movie. Back together. You really aren't thinking about taking the deal, are you? Oh. Look at that face. He's thinking about taking the deal. Whatever. Dude, I'm walking out. We walk out. Oh my god. We're so dramatic. Unlock, can you bring me a fresh bottle? Thanks. Oh my god! Balor. Really? Dude, what the hell? Frick that guy. We don't need him. We can find another merchant. I'm out of here. Just going along with what Rotini wants. And screw Balor. Ignore that I'm floundering around in a freaking pool of water. I'm mad at Balor. I think. I wonder if he'll talk to us about it tomorrow. I do want to go back into the inn though, because everyone was kind of in there. And I do want to see what everyone's up to. It's like the second week, you know, we gotta get back on everyone's story. Oh. We won't look at what he has to say. Who cares? Big job, but I love, who knows what the big job was. Hemlock's got something sweet on tap today, Rotini. Weedle has been sniffing around town, but it seems like he's up to more than his usual tricks. Go. So what's this group about again? Drinking? Have you ever thought about being a blacksmith, Landon? You've got the attention to detail. A second career? Tempting, but I'd have to retire all over again. Oh. I was lost in thought about an old flame, Rodrigo. A beautiful light in the chandelier of my life. The Okay, no one seems to talk about, like, the interesting little seasonal stories that we had. Maybe that wasn't a thing in spring. And it's been a while since I've been in spring, so I'm not too sure. Now on my share of races to see he's a friend to me. Yeah. The only thing Marge dislikes more than people celebrating his birthday is when they don't celebrate his birthday. Typical. You didn't hear it from me, but he lives a nice ingot. Your mother was quite the woman, Hayden. She would work a field and tend to her animals all before breakfast. She's the one who taught me how to run a farm. Yum 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 yum. What's up right now? I nibbled so much while working in the kitchen I ended up skipping dinner. And that's a real thing. That's a thing that I honestly thought was one of those, kind of like, you know, oh, I just can't eat. I possibly can't eat after working in the kitchen all day. Ugh. It's just, I can't eat. I'm full. I was like, you were making food. What do you mean you're full? But after a few parties where I've made food for them, I realized, yeah, you kind of just keep eating as you're making the food, and you're not as hungry as everyone else. Everyone else is waiting in anticipated breath, and you're here just saying, oh, food's ready, I guess. I already ate half of it. It's a lot smaller of a portion than it was gonna be, but so I understand now. In my 20s, you learn these things in your 20s, you know? Alright, I guess nobody had anything crazy to say. I'm leaving. I'm to go to bed. And I hope we're all good, right? I didn't even need any bread. Perfect. We're ready to go. Oh, what's... Sorry, I got a text from my sister, like in our family group chat, and she was just like saying that she's a teacher in a different city than where my mom lives and where I live. So she was saying in that separate city, he has a student whose mom is the aunt of my godfathers. Of my godfathers? Sorry, irrelevant. Nothing crazy. It was just I was trying to understand this family dynamic. I didn't know what was happening. There was too many familial words. Welcome back. Hope your meeting wasn't too boring. Good old Alep. No, nothing like that. It was just like, I guess your cousin's aunt's cousin's son's student. But she can only find out, like, it's weird. What do you mean? You have a student that is a distant family member in a different state. I mean, yeah, what the hell? How did we get here? That's crazy. I'll read it again after stream. Make sure I read that right. Good morning, guys. It's Saturday. Wait, where are my animals? Oh. They're hiding. Okay, so it looks like you don't get capybara stuff every single day. You probably only get them once every 2 days. Which kind of sucks for me. Me and my attempts to Get those quests done. Keep this perfect sapphire too. Ooh, I don't think I ever get that many monster wings. They honestly are a bit of an oddity. Where are the plants? I'm a little upset I did not get any more turnip plants, I'm gonna be honest. I have to buy more. I guess. Meanwhile, these bee plants are falling out of the freaking sky. I really don't eat anymore. Alright. Now it's... Oh! It's Saturday. And you know what? Mistria has been spared by my never-ending revenge because I remember I have to go grab a fiddlehorn or fiddlehead. I keep saying fiddlehorn, and I think that's the last name of that guy from Red. Yeah. Remember. I'm remembering. Here it is. I think I'll leave them. You know what? The judge has ordered that you have done a great job in reminding me, so what am I to do? Besides honor the judge's words and the verdict. And you have been released from your duties. How many turnips do you need? 1? Okay. I have 1 turnip. And which of these swords is better? 10 versus 12. Well, we have our answer. I want to put this out. These nodes can stay together. I don't think anyone needs this jellyfish. It's not really used for any recipes, right? Right. Goodbye, jellyfish. And goodbye, sword. A part of me wants to keep it. It came from a chest. I'll keep it. You know what? We'll keep it. I don't think I'll ever get another one. Just like the armor that I have. One of a kind. We'll check whatever else somebody wants. Oh. Rabbit wool to Louis? I have no rabbits. I'm sorry, Louis. You get no rabbits. Rabbit wool today. Hey, what's up, Darcy? I got some hot coffee for your sleepy Saturday morning? Wait, oh, I thought she was gonna give me one. Why did I think she was actually gonna be nice and give me one? She obviously runs a business. Whatever. Darcy, here you go. Oh! Wait. No, wait, what the hell? I gotta go. I gave it to her as a gift instead of giving it to her as a as a quest redemption. Now, why is it the second time I have to start this game up this stream? I guess technically the third. Technically, it's 3 times. Remember, it's Saturday. Oh my god, really? That's so annoying. What do you mean? Why is there 2 different buttons to give a gift and to give a request redemption? Tell me what sense that makes. It makes no sense. That's so upsetting. That is so upsetting. Whatever. Whatever. We'll do it again and we'll do it better this time. There we go. Now keep the sword in here. Maybe this time I'll get a turnip plant. Oh my gosh. Okay, well, something better. I got a different recipe for the peas. I'm not too mad about that. What I am a little upset about is that I haven't gotten a recipe for the strawberries. You're supposed to get recipes depending on, I mean, all the plants that you farm. I'm just getting, I'm getting more seeds, which is fine. Yes. Alright, we'll try this again. We'll try this one more time. Alright, what's left? Getting the animals out, getting their stuff. And then we're going back. We're going back to the farmer's market with the fiddlehorn. Fiddlehead. Jesus Christ. I'm never gonna get that name right. It's always gonna be a fiddlehorn. I'm just gonna tell you guys right now. And you, and then you, and then you. Grab that thing real quick. Now where is it? Sweet. Go back inside and drop off all this stuff. What? One turnip. One turnip is all it takes. Alright, let's go. We're back at the market once again. Go find Mary and give her the freaking thing. Oh. Not before we grab this quest for the rabbit wool that we don't have. We don't have any rabbit wool. That's not going to be something we can do anytime soon. Right. A moment of truth. Not to give item. Turn in request. I guess they sort of do look like the top of the violin. Look, I would have missed out on 300 tesserae. Oh my gosh. You have anything cool? I do have a lot more space. A floor mirror. I don't think any of this... Oh, well, I like this flooring. I'll take that mirror too. Box. Bakery basket. Picnic place. I wonder if I can put this stuff kind of like out and about in Mistria. You know, the picnic blanket. But I think I can also just make these. Right? Yeah, I can make these. Okay. We'll make one. We'll make one and see what's up. That would be cute! But if I can only have them on my farm when nobody comes and visits, kind of pointless. And right now, you know, I'm thinking, okay, well, we're obviously on a piece of them. Okay, you can't put them anywhere. You can't put them anywhere except your farm. Whatever. It'll be fine. I can never decide between push-ups or breakfast first. He's gonna, you know, Ulrich would be the kind of guy who eats the protein Cheerios with the protein milk and then throws up when he tries to do his push-ups. Because he just doesn't understand sometimes. Or you know what? Ulrich would be the type of the guy to tell other people not to do that. I did do the Saturday thing. I just did it right now. We're good to go. Oh. Oh, the tablet that I got. Dude, this Saturday is busy. Ew, sorry, TMI. TMI on Ulrich's. You found another tablet? Yes, I did. Oh, she's taking me to her room. Hi, Juniper. We're in your room. Okay, I'll just stand here. Oh. Try not to breathe loudly. Why am I telling her that? I know, she said. She grabbed my hand and said, let's go to my house. I said, okay, no problem. Hush. Oh, yes, ma'am. And I immediately... She tells me to shut up, so I started messing with her things. Like a cat. Oh, yes. Get my feet. True. There are some extremely unusual terms here that I haven't encountered before. Oh. That the caverns below the mines are elementally charged with water, who specializes in very exotic flora. I guess we're getting Celine involved. I guess we're getting her. I'm sure you've seen Celine with her head buried in that tome, the Codex Mistria. From what I've heard, is esoteric hardly begins to describe the content. Okay, we'll see what she says. Hopefully it's something useful. Oh, we just come to her house. Alright, alright. I thought she was gonna bring her over. Hey guys. Celine, we come to you with a mission with utmost importance. Ooh, sounds fun. She has so much hospitality and manners. And I just picked up a packet of those cookies you like, Juniper. How lovely. Oh my god. Get a nice warm beverage and some cookies? See, now this is a Saturday morning. Spent with two pretty ladies, and they talk to me about their plants and their books and their tomes, and I get free tea and cookies. And then I get to go back into the mines and do it again. Let's see what the Codex has to say. She has a giant book. It's huge. Look at her little sprite. Elementally charged underground environment. That certainly narrows down our research. Witch speak is a highly contextual language, so there's a good chance the correct plant will help me translate with them. Ooh. I think our best bet is probably Jade Duels. Let's give it a try. Oh, find the fish whose arrow flies true, a jewel the color of the blue sea. Gather up duels of jade, find the hunter in the coral. Now what the hell does that mean? What does that mean? This is certainly it. Looks like there's some puzzle solving to do, huh? Well, what if the museum... No, it'll be solved in no time. Don't worry about it. I got it. I am a little worried. I don't understand what any of that means. And feel free to come over anytime, you two. This was fun. Oh, really? Oh my goodness. This. Let me see what I have. I don't think I have any jade tools or anything from the tide mines. I think I throw them all away. Oh! I lied. I do have one. Okay, so jade duels. Archerfish, sapphire, and coral mantis. I don't have the coral mantis for sure, but I'm sure I have a sapphire. Yeah. Alright. And the coral mantis isn't too hard to find. We'll just quickly put this stuff down. You know what? I'm going to assume it's going to take me a while to get down to the mines and back. Ooh, this flooring is pretty! I'm a fan. Put this away. What's with this stuff? Grab some food real quick, and then we'll head out. After putting the animals away and turning in that turnip for, I think it's, Fradaline. Let's do this. Freaking rock and roll. It was Adeline, right? I think. Turnip, turnip, turnip. Yeah, it was her. Let's go. Where is she? Hello? Oh, she's up here. Oh. So detached from everybody. Your timing is perfect, Rotini. I was hoping to finish up my annual spring crop yield report today. You're welcome. Is there anyone else we want to talk to? Funny, isn't it? You spend your whole life working towards a dream, then it drops into your lap and suddenly... Don't mind me. Yeah. He's trying to justify it in his brain. The merchant has fallen in love with the village. Everyone point and laugh. I'm just gonna talk to everybody real quick. Did you know that you can make blue hair dye from plants, cornflowers, dogwood bark, hyacinths? Yeah, the flower. You guys know. What else do they have here? Alright, bye guys. Y'all have fun. I'm going to go into the mines. I guess don't mind me. I'm just going to the most dangerous part of Mistria. Bye. Ooh, a snail! Do I already have a snail? How I do. Oh my gosh, these guys don't leave me alone! Okay. Okay. Not gonna bother with those slime dudes. The heart does yearn for the mines. I need to find a mantis and oh my gosh, these guys aren't gonna leave me alone. They're not gonna be alone. One more time. Go. There you go. I don't want to do the jumping attack. Okay, okay. This time for sure. Look, watch. Oh, you know what? I don't need you around here. I don't need you to be messing with my rhythm. Go. I don't know why it's those slimes that give me the most problem. But they do. That's kind of embarrassing. Ooh, what's that? A chair. Okay. Not that exciting, I'm not gonna lie. We'll get some more of this freaking iron ore. Yes, please. Okay, my name's a coral mantis, and I was in every single floor that you needed, except now I think I'm gonna be gone. Now I don't think I'll let you find me. Because why haven't I seen one yet? Oh, I also need a fish. Good point. Fish that I see in the corner. Not what I'm looking for. Not at all what I'm looking for. Nope, I missed. Okay. I thought I had it that time. For sure. Dude, what the hell? These guys are faster. Do I really have to wait till they're right behind me? I don't think we're getting that coral mantis today, I'm gonna be honest. And you know what? No, I don't need to make an offering. I'm gonna go back up after I eat a bread. I'm gonna eat the bread and get that fish, just in case. So the last thing I want is that fish to be the one that I need, and then it's not gonna be... I won't catch it. I'll have to wait forever. Nope. Mr. Fish? Alright, that wasn't what I needed. Let's just go down here real quick and drop off the stuff that we do know we have. How about this and this? Thank you. We're halfway done. Halfway done with the offering. The offering for the mine gods. I don't think I got anything else new. No. That can go home with me. Ulrich's in his room. Oh, he's asleep. Hey, Ulrich! Oh, hey. Is this like a sleepover? Hey, you know me. I love to pop in last minute. Welcome. You're welcome, Ulrich. Y'all have a good night, merchant people. Suppose I should think about heading to bed. Oh, truth or dare, Adeline? Truth. No, dare. Actually, wait. Adeline's usually so decisive, but Rainer always makes her think twice. I never know what Raina's gonna ask. And I know that's right. Hey, Rotini, you know Hemlock brews his own beer here? He's always on the lookout for the best wheat. I guess I can work on getting him wheat. Get him some good old Mistria. I don't think we got like hard beer. Maybe it's a light beer, I think. Oh, I made such a good call putting the animals away before I went to the mines. Hooray! Good for us. Put these stuff away. And by away I mean hit the hay to the market. Don't need these things. Sweet. Ran into his house. You know, can you blame me? Can you blame me? I ran right into his house and said hello. Ulrich, you invited me over. I love, I'd probably gaslight him. I'd say, yeah, you said I could sleep over this day. I don't think he'd have a problem with it. Hooray, level up. Means we got new boots. Oh, and it's raining today. Oh, this is a good day. Oh, I'm so happy. I'm so happy. Oh! Oh! We caught each other by surprise. Hello, Celine. What good timing. I was going to leave you a letter, but I'd much rather tell you in person. I wanted to remind you that we're holding Mistria's Spring Festival in the town square this Wednesday. Ulrich. I think he would have understood. Yeah, maybe he would have tried to, like, stab me with his pickaxe or whatever, but maybe he would have understood, I think. Let me break into people's houses, okay? The whole town gets decorated with flowers, and there'll be special booths selling all kinds of things. Reese and Layden are making new booths. March will be juggling. What? And everyone's gathering flowers. I don't suppose you'd like to help this year too. Of course, neighbor. We celebrate. Calling her neighbor kind of felt a little detached. I should have called her by her name. But the option by calling her by her name said like anything for you, and she's alright. Like we've said many a time, Celine's just alright. So I don't want to give her the wrong idea. I don't want to lead her wrong. We celebrate the spring festival around this time every year, coinciding with the blooming of a special type of flower. I don't need two wives. Maybe I do. But it wouldn't be Celine. Celine wouldn't be my second wife pick. That I'm still working on. Celine's kind of like... Oh, she's too kind. She's too... I don't know what it is. You know, I don't know what it is. She's just not my second pick. She'd be like fourth wife. I need to collect Breath of Spring flowers, as many as you can. The more you collect, the better the festival will be. Oh. I think I remember how to do this. She's a little... Yeah. Yeah. I'll say that. You know, she is a little vanilla. Okay, so we get a bunch of these flowers by the 17th, and we get a bunch of decorations. Cool. I can do that. Surely. My goal is... How much does she want? Oh, there's no, I guess, boundary. They'll be so surprised by how many I do get. Yeah, you know, if that's what you're going for, if that's what you like, you know, who doesn't like vanilla? Weirdos, that's who. Like, if you don't like vanilla, it's just like, really? That means you don't like anything. But once you get the taste of other flavors, you know, sometimes you're like a little, well, give me a little bit of Rocky Road every now and again. You know what I'm saying? Also, as everybody begin playing, thanks for watching. Ugh. You get it. People get it. I'll put this stuff away. Well, that was bread. Where's the bread going? Here. Alright. I don't want this here. I want this thing gone. I'll put it in here for now. I'll put it as like an under the bed kind of rug. Shout out to the people who put rugs under the beds. I don't think anyone puts it at the foot of the bed. You know, it's more like a step stool so you don't step on the cold floor when you get out of bed, but that's just the reality of stuff that happens, you know? Okay, actually... I'll cut these trees down real quick and then I'm gonna skedaddle. Monster under... Exactly, the monster under my bed. I think it deserves a little bit of comfort. If you're the monster in my bed, shouts out. Don't say I never did anything for you. Ooh, Breath of Spring. How many do you think we can get? I hope we can get at least... We have 3 days. So I hope we can get... I'm aiming for 100. I'm aiming for 100 Breaths of Spring. I want this festival to be the best festival there's ever been in the whole entirety history of Mistria. And I'll make it happen. I feel like these trees just grow and keep spawning in. No matter how many times I cut these trees down, they just keep coming back. Let's go check this out of town. I never go over here anymore. Sweet. I saved so much energy by not needing to water my farm. And that's what I kind of also want for this update. Or an update down the line. I know this game's supposed to be cozy about not like min-maxing your farm and stuff, but would like for a little bit of self-sufficiency in the terms of sprinklers, or if they want to come up with some other way of watering the crops, maybe like a underground piping system that automatically moisturizes the ground some way or another. Like, that'd be fine with me. I just don't want to spend every single day that it's not raining watering all my crops. And I think that's, yeah, that's fair enough to say. Only at 100. This is gonna take forever. And I'm not even at the steel point of the mines yet. So I guess I should calm down. Shouldn't be pressured to finishing this upgrade. But it is for Reina, so maybe I should be pressuring myself to finish this if it's for her. Also, there's this whole question about these random doors all throughout Mistria. Random doors. Here, this way, that way. I'm sure they serve a purpose, but when will I find out that purpose? And they guide me to like different parts of the map? Are they shortcuts? I don't know. I don't know. And I don't know if I'll ever know. Oh, I forgot about this stuff that I left behind. See what I mean? It's only been, what, an hour since I left all this stuff? But it's also been 2 game resets since then. So don't blame me too much for forgetting about this area. Ooh. Okay. Now that we're back in the city, I want to do. I just want to talk to everybody, you know. I want to get my little friendship up. I figured the rain would keep you inside all day, but I guess you just have to track water all over my showroom. Well, yes. As I'm walking out, he walked away from the counter. You know he was gonna go grab a mop, because I did just track water all over his place. I can't even feel that bad about it, low-key. It's okay, March. You'll be fine. I must record my greatest love in my journal. Oh, but what was it? Red or white wine? Oh, don't be pointing guns at me. Henrietta? I wanna know what she loves. Ooh, she loves the glowberries. I have a lot of those. He's blushing, grumbling while mopping up my footsteps. Like, goddamn stupid farmer. What a silly guy. He low-key wants me so bad. It makes him so mad. Oh, you know what? We should redeem one of our free baths. That'll be 100. Just go on in. Thanks, Juniper. So kind. So kind of her to give us a little bath. I've never done this before. Oh, I guess that's it. Ew. Fuck. Hope you enjoyed your bath, but remember, if you suddenly feel any ill effects, such as a light headache, insomnia, or sudden tail growth, it's merely a random coincidence. Thank you. Thank you, my love. Oh wait, Balor's here? Did I want to keep pestering him about the deal to get him out of this contract? After the rush of a market day, I like to... whatever. I guess he had nothing interesting to say. Let's go talk to a real character. Are you hurt, Rotimi? Oh, you're just saying hello. That's kind of you. Hello. You're welcome. You're the picture of health, Terithia. Fishing keeps you young. Jeez. Why was fishing a hard word to say? What else do we gotta talk to? Oh, you know what? We do have another heart event. Wait, well, you know what? We'll do that tomorrow. It's already kind of late. We'll meet Reese up tomorrow. We'll meet up with Reese tomorrow. Just get my pants. Ooh, a trout. I think I have plenty of trout. Was that you? I can't. I don't know if you. I don't think you guys heard. You just made the most. Speaking of trout, we got it already. You just made the most sad, tiny little meow in the whole wide world. But I'm looking at her and she's not even paying attention to me. I'm gonna be honest. So I think she was just meowing to meow. Here's the trout. You're welcome. This is just what I needed to make smoked trout soup. Ooh, more recipes and a soup at that. Okay. Just trout and milk. Oh. That doesn't sound very good at all. Trout and milk? I'd say I'm more of a social drinker. Don't have much use for a glass of wine or pint on the road. Especially if you're driving. Life is just too good, I guess. Good, she did sigh. Laugh though. I hope you're planning on going to the Spring Festival. It's been one of my favorites since I was a kid. I will be there. I will be there. Hello, ladies. Hello, ladies. What's going on up here? You remember when we were little and couldn't see over the railing? Oh, they're talking about being a baby. I sure do. We used to pretend we were sneaking around castle ramparts. Wasn't that game your idea, Celine? I saw Dell reinvented just the other day. Palace infiltration must run in the family. Oh, little hearts. Those guys are friends forever. That's so sweet. Wait, I didn't have any soup. Yeah, I don't need soup. I don't have any. Oh, that's good enough, you know? They're having their dinner with Ulrich. I mean, with, Hayden. The one that I'm never invited to. I feel like March and Ulrich have so many dinners with everybody in town. It's just not fair. I want to talk to Ulrich. I want to see how... You know what? I'm pretty sure they're putting an act around me, because maybe they act different around all these other people. But they don't act towards me. I guess I'll never know unless I'm invited to one of these nightly dinners that they have. They're faking! Look! Oh. You know what? I'm gonna go storm into the house. I'm gonna go storm into Hayden's farm and say, yeah, I know you guys were faking and I know you guys are actually nice. Maybe Ulrich's actually mean. I'm gonna do it. I've had enough. I've had enough of being excluded. They have dinner with Hayden, they have dinner with Reese and Landon, and they have dinner at the inn. That's not fair. Look at these people. Scheming. It ends now. Oh. Wait, they're not talking about you. They're not talking about me. You're right, you're right. Oh. What are you happy about? Did you find a new rock? Yeah! Oh, I guess they do just talk about random things, huh? Where's the secret was not letting the farm animals into the house? Sorry, Grandma. Oh, Henrietta's so cute. Okay, well. Let this be a lesson. I guess not everything's about you all the time. Even though you are the main character. Alright. Alright. You know what? It's late. I've been at the inn 3 times today. I gotta go to sleep. Much to ponder about. Much to ponder about. I'm selling these relics. I don't need them. I don't need them. Oh my gosh, wait. I think my cat just locked herself in a box. Okay, I'm gonna give me a second. She jumped in a box and now I hear her crying. You know what? You're right. They could have easily just stopped talking about me as soon as I walked in. But, oh shit, Rotini's here, Rotini's here. Yeah, my grandma didn't want people in the house. You know, you're right. That is something that you would randomly bring up. The mystery continues. The mystery continues. Let me go get my cat out of the box that she locked herself in. I'll be right back. Alright, why did that turn into a whole gaming session? Because I took her out of the little box. Well, I opened the box. It's really my old PC Tower case box. I took her out of it because she was giving me those sad eyes. She wasn't really trapped in there. She can jump out whenever she wants. But he led me to the game, the little game that she was playing with the little spring, and so I kind of got caught up playing with her a little bit. Now she ignored me though, so we're back. Back like we never left. Oh, legendary fish is nearby. You know I love a legendary fish. Do I have to put these anywhere? The more I collect, the better the festival will be, so I guess I'll just hold on to them. Yeah, W pet time. The Cappy sounds so cute. Oh. Now why didn't I get anything from them? But they give me nothing. That's a little suspicious. Did they not eat? Did they not eat yesterday? Wait, that's kind of a problem if they didn't eat. That means I'm not doing a good job of understanding what it means when it rains. No, surely we're fine. Maybe I just got unlucky. We got milk. I am not the worst caretaker in the world. That is determined right now. Ooh, should I get some more? Cabbage slaw. Ew. What is the consensus on coleslaw? Why can't I pick these up? Oh, I'm pressing E. Thank you. Coleslaw equals good or bad? Because I've only had... Yeah, it's a banger done right. Do you like any fast food coleslaw? Because I think that's what goes wrong most of the time. Outside of like in churches, I honestly really like church's coleslaw. Weird that is maybe nasty to other people as it may be. Maybe because I grew up on it, it's one of my favorite coleslaws. But family done coleslaw is the best one, I think. But that's such an easy answer. Outside of cookouts, that's fair. I think Church's is more a southern fast food chain anyway. Do I need these? I don't think I do. Used as crafting material. Okay, I'll keep them since it is a crafting material. Okay, we'll put them over here. I should start holding on to these. I don't know what I need them for. That's a little problem. That's a little bit of a problem. See what Caldarius wants. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. I need to get... Oh! We've unlocked a new tier of fishing skills. Hooray! Frenzy. Catching a fish will occasionally cause a fish school to spawn nearby. Fish have a chance of dropping coins worth 10% of their value. Fish will become attracted to your bobber from an even greater range. I do like this one because I don't have a better fishing rod yet. Catching a fish is even more likely to drop double the amount of fish. I think I'm gonna do the appealing reeling. Get those fish to come at me from different angles. Come at me. You know, I'll kill them. But not kill them. You know, I'll catch them and then maybe put them in the museum or sell them. I'll put them in ice, you know, humanely. Keep the fish from suffering. Oh my gosh. My other cat's sleeping on the floor and he looks insane. Oh my gosh, they kept talking about the family member. Whoa. Wow, he is related to my uncle. Some some random kid that my sister teaches. That's so weird. Strange. Small world. You can no longer catch wooden treasure boxes. Oh, I like that. We have moved past the need for wooden treasure boxes, I think, at this point. Let's see what else we can do. We're one more level away from tier 3 of ranching. What should I do with the rest of them? I need to figure out what to do with the rest of this plot. No! First of all, not even Alabama. It's just, you know, sometimes you hear a last name that's not a common last name, so you can't help but assume that maybe they know people in your family, and then it turns out that they do. Weird. I mean, I don't know. Maybe there's some sweet home. I don't know that's out of the family too well. I will say it. I'll say it. Who knows? Who knows what they do over there? I know what I have going on. What my side of the family's got going on. That's about it. All right, let's get some walls going. I think I'm gonna make. I like that idea that the one person that I found who had a kind of a separate little spot. I want to kappa that. A separate little spot for what's it called? For chests and stuff. That way we don't have to have everything inside the house. And then we can make more furniture and stuff. That'll be after this. Ooh, a baked potato. Can I make those? I'm sure I know the recipe. Hooray! These don't have any. Okay, cool. I was gonna say, I hope it wasn't one of those that spawn in as the universally liked or loved items. That'd make it harder to give it to Hayden. I don't want to give him higher tier, whatever I got. You can have the basic stuff. Hey, Hayden. This is the baked potato I asked for. Thank you. I don't usually bother with them, but I thought about making one with butter and cheese on top. What else can you do with a baked potato? Except add bacon and green onion. Yep, see? The green onion? I think this is a green onion. Hot and fluffy baked potato with all the trimmings. Oh, dude, I haven't had a baked potato in a while. You know, I haven't even had those, loaded potato skins from, like, restaurants and stuff. Those are good, too. Man. I'm getting hungry. Alright, let's go check out what Reese wants from us. Yes! You get it. Right, hello! Dude, I've been wearing this ugly outfit. No, yes, who cares? Let me have a sweet treat, even if it's not sweet and it's savory. Let me have a savory treat full of cholesterol and saturated fats or whatever. Like, I don't care. That's why I always keep a full set of hammers on my tool belt at all times. I don't know, a full set of screwdrivers on hand seems more useful. What if we added a tool? Bandolier. Then you could bring everything. Hello. Yes, I am. Here to help with the birdhouse project? Sounds fun. Tell you what, Reese. I'll take over your shift running the counter. Thanks, Uncle. Hooray! What are we gonna do? What are we gonna do? I'm so excited. Yes, I just said that! Oh my gosh, it's like we finished each other's sandwiches. I've been laying aside materials for the project while we've been waiting for the tree to grow big enough. I like working on the big town projects with you, but there's something nice about collaborating on something small. Yeah, It's so much more intimate. Yep. Let me get out my blueprints and we can go over them together. Hooray! What are we gonna do? Storm. 4 storm and 7 years ago, we made a birdhouse. Oh, dude, we spent all day here. Oh. Yeah, let me just pick the axe. Together. Oh, a little paint. Guys, I want to see more. Oh, what a cute little birdhouse. I can make that on the crafting table. Well, now. Oh, that is okay. Well, you know what? We do have a better eye for these things than the crafting table. That house is much too fine for a bird. We might have gotten a little carried away. It's better than a birdhouse. It's a bird home. That is so freaking corny, bro. I'm saying it. I love that idea. It's not a house. A home. I'm sure the Mistria and bluebirds will feel the same way. Paint looked like it dried nicely. Why don't you two hang it? And I'll whip up a celebratory treat. Oh my god. Maybe Reese didn't tell you this, Rotini, but I make a mean coconut cream pie. Ole. Let me be sickeningly sweet with this guy. Where are we gonna hang it? Wait, the tree's grown? Yesterday the tree was like a sapling. So it's grown in the past 2 days, okay. Feels good and secure with me. Wait, to me. Those bluebirds are going to be so surprised. Ooh. Wait, so what's next? He is a witch. Him and Juniper are the witches of the town. Oh wait, we're not supposed to know Juniper's a witch. Oh, I guess it's just him. He's just the only witch in town. Keep our eyes peeled for our prospective homeowners. I'll let you know the moment I spot a bit of blue. But for right now, I think it's time for pie. Hooray! Okay. Oh, I got some pie! Hooray! Oh, this is so awesome. Okay. Is he still in here? Hello! Looking around, we got great recipes if you're in the mood to craft something. Maybe I am. Wait, 15,000 to upgrade my house again? You're insane. You're actually insane. I don't have that kind of money. I have never had that kind of money. I think the closest I got was maybe 9,000. The hell? Instant mood ruin her. Because what do you mean we have this moment where we build a little birdhouse and have a cute little moment in an afternoon together, and then you tell me, hey, it's 15,000 if you want to upgrade your house? I don't think so. I'm trying! I've tried so desperately to get my money up, and it's just not working! It's just not working. I think I'm just destined to be broke. I think that's just what they're trying to tell me. I'm the broke farmer who lives in Mistria. Adeline has so many grand plans for Mistria. Whatever. Tell me your secrets. Ooh, a middle mist. Have I seen that flower around here? I do know. I'll keep trying though. I'll keep trying. I'll do my best. It's just cause, you know, what am I supposed to do when all the beautiful people of this town look at me and say, Hey, we really do need your money. We need your money if we're gonna advance the town in any way. What am I supposed to do? I'm powerless. Their powers are too strong. I bet they're so happy they picked the right person to let into their city. Someone who doesn't, I guess, need money and can give all their money to Mistria. Sure. No, no. I see, I can't even be that mean. I can't even be that mean. Let me out. We'll get to that point though. For sure. There's just no way we can keep letting them get away with this. Ew. Ugly bug. Ugly bug. Can I stand on those lily pads? Okay. I guess not. They hold these numbers against me. I'm chained to the rhythm of Mistria, you know? Make 7,000 tesserae, spend 7,000 tesserae, make 8,000 tesserae, spend 8,000 tesserae. I don't know how people grow their farm and grow their, you know, their own little spot of the land. Everyone's getting richer except me. We need socialism in this town. And you're right, we wonder why the town rating fell. It's because their last cash pig left town. They probably left. They just didn't, yeah. They didn't want to be part of the scheme anymore, and so they left, and everyone was a little distraught, and then they all came up with the idea of the next person to come in, we all have to put on these personalities. March, you're the one who says you're not even gonna last here. Reina, you have to be kind and sweet, and Celine, you have to be the first person they meet, so that way they can know that everyone is just like you. It's all a ploy. It's all a ploy. I'm trapped here. I'm trapped. Where else am I supposed to go? The capital? I don't have enough money for the capital. You know how much rent is over there? The more you know. The more you know. Stay alert, you know? Keep an eye open for all the mishappenings. They took all my money. They took it all. It's all gone. Why do they even need money if they're gonna upgrade using the materials that I gave them? It really makes you think. Oh, pyramid scheme. Exactly, you know, you join the town, you sign up 2 more people to join the town, and then those people get a little bit, they pay you because you are supplying them with the materials to be accepted in the town, and then they get more people, and those people pay you through dividends, and it's where we are today. It's a vicious cycle. They got a town full of attractive people to distract you from the bigger picture. And it's working. You know, I'm gonna go to sleep right now. Rotini's gonna go to sleep and forget all about this. Not gonna give a hoot or a holler. Wait, send inside. I don't like the way they word the come inside or like leave, go outside kind of thing. Because to me, when you're ringing the bell, you're trying to call the animals inside. You know? I feel like they should switch the call and send. Maybe I am. Maybe I just need some mystery and tea. and a nice nap, and I'll be fine tomorrow. That's all it is to it. Oh. Our little Nintendo music playlist ended. Give me a second after this. You see what's playing. No, you know what? I'm calm now. I'm calm and collected. I'll stop throwing. I'll stop throwing a fit. Just things, you know, things that make you think. Can't help but think sometimes. But the reality of it all. Anything. You're throwing a fit. Eat your pie. Go to sleep. Everything will be better tomorrow. Right, right, right. That's what they want you to think. Oh my god. As if it couldn't be worse. As if it couldn't be worse. Tomorrow's March's birthday. Go to sleep with a half-eaten chili ball. Alright, you're right. I think next time we play is when we celebrate March's birthday. I think we made some great progress. Did we decorate as the title suggests? No. But you know what? We changed some things. Oh my god. Dude, I think, you know, March is easy. He's easy to please, if you mind. Right, I think I got stuff for him. Oh. What is that? Gold? Perfect gold? What the hell is this? Ball of butter? Who knows? You know what? Who knows? That's for next time pasta to figure out, because right now I'm not worried about that. Alright, that's enough. That's enough. I'm done with these people. This town has taken up my whole life. Alright, calm down, calm down. I'm not gonna take it back though. I'm not gonna take it back. Nobody else I follow is playing this game, or a game close, I don't think. Oh, you know what? Oh, really that game. Alright, well, I think that's that. That's that for today. I might be back. What's tomorrow? Thursday? Either Thursday evening or Friday same time. But we'll see. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for gaming. Hope you have a great day. Hope you have a great day. Bye.